Coming up next on this edition of In the City, Murfreesboro City Engineer talks about upcoming road projects in 2021. Also, a longtime Murfreesboro Police Department employee retires. Plus, for one Murfreesboro Police Sergeant, this year's Shop with a Cop was extra special. And a local citizen is instrumental in getting the first golf cart for golfers with physical limitations. We'll tell you all about those stories and more coming up right now on this edition of In the City. Welcome to another edition of In the City, your source for what's happening right here in the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Michael Linn White. Murfreesboro City Engineer provides an update on upcoming road projects in 2021.
The council approved the funding for several projects moving forward with the community improvement plan. Whenever the shutdowns happened, and we were a little careful with with not knowing exactly where the sales tax was going to fall, we kind of slowed up several of those projects just to make sure we kind of watched our money. But with sales tax still doing okay, we've decided to move forward with those. The Gateway Boulevard connector is one of them. It'll give an alternate connection from Medical Center Parkway over to the Robert Rose area. Have a lot of traffic there on Thompson Lane, so we're trying to help out with traffic there at Medical Center in Thompson, and then Robert Rose in Thompson as well. We should move forward with construction, I'd say by the middle of 2021. Another project we're excited about is the Brinkley Road improvements. We're going to break that project up into phases and start the first phase, same thing, probably by middle of next year, if not a little bit sooner. And that'll be actually replacing the bridge there over Overall Creek. It's right there at a major subdivision off of Brinkley Road, so we're going to do turn lane improvements into that, replace the bridge. And most importantly, we've got a lot of students walking to school, so we're going to make some pedestrian capabilities to where they'll be able to cross Brinkley Road under the bridge. We also will add sidewalks and everything to help kind of the pedestrian accessibility. Another project is the Rucker Lane widening. We're going to break that project into two phases now. And so we'll do the first phase close to the Muirwood subdivision entrance and going back towards Veterans Parkway. And then the next phase of it will go from where we stop there at Muirwood and go back out to Franklin Highway. That project, is an older county road, drop-offs on the shoulders. We're really excited about getting some pedestrian improvements out there and just making a more safe road for folks to travel on out there. We're also looking at some intersection improvements on Warrior Drive there at New Salem Highway. Got a lot of development going on Warrior Drive on into it. We think we need some additional lanes to get folks in and out of that development a little bit easier. Of course, TDOT's finishing up. They should be finished next summer with the improvements on New Salem Highway there. We'll kind of get those intersections operating a little bit more efficiently with the expected increase in traffic. And then finally, a project pretty close to there that we're really excited about. It'll probably take about a year and a half for design on it, but it's a new bridge actually which will extend Rutherford Boulevard over to Warrior Drive. So it'll actually cross the interstate. The 2040 Major Thoroughfare Plan identified one of our main hindrances was getting people back and forth across the interstate without having to go through the interchanges and all the traffic that comes with them. Cherry Lane on the north side of town, that one goes all the way from Memorial Boulevard all the way to 840 to Broad Street. That project's probably 6-7 years actually completed with construction, but there'll be a new interchange at 840. And then the state continues with the Thompson Lane plan. So that'll be all the way from Broad Street all the way up to Memorial Boulevard. I'm sure that's about a $50 or $60 million project, so I'm sure TDOT will probably do that in phases, but that'll give us some much needed relief on the north side of town.
Jerry Cheney, a full-time MPD patrol and DARE officer for 22 years, retired 15 years ago and came out of retirement to start a new career as a part-time school traffic patrol employee. He's now retiring for good.
Traffic out here today.
For years, Murfreesboro Police Department school traffic patrol employee Jerry Cheney has moved traffic along with precision, safely guiding students to and from Mitchell Nielsen schools for 14 years.
And it's very important because these roads now and the way people drive is dangerous. And that's the reason I tell all of them, always watch me and I motion for them to come across because it's real dangerous for these kids.
Cheney was a Murfreesboro Police Patrol and DARE officer for 22 years before retiring. He came out of retirement to work part-time as a school traffic patrol. Now, Cheney is calling it quits again.
It was kind of hard for me, but I figured now it's time for me to go because I'm getting older and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. But it's been a good adventure.
Cheney says if it was left up to him, he would still be working, but he's taking the advice of his family.
Really, it wasn't my decision. It was my daughter and my two grandboys. They said, "Granddad, you need to spend time with us," but they moved to Clarksville. So I decided, it took me a long time to decide, but I did.
On Friday, December 11th, the last official day as a school crossing guard, students and teachers gave Cheney a much-deserved send-off.
It's been a long journey, but it's time for me to enjoy the rest of my life. Yeah, I appreciate everything the city done for me. Yeah, love it. Love all the kids, all the officers, everybody.
For CityTV, I'm Larry Flowers.
Murfreesboro Police Sergeant Greg Walker, a cancer survivor, paired up with a little boy recently diagnosed with a rare cancer through the Shop with the Cop program.
He's got the most beautiful hair ever.
One word can change the course of your life forever. And that's exactly what happened to one local family when they heard the news that their little boy had cancer.
At Halloween, his back was hurting. And that's kind of not normal for a 5-year-old to have back problems. And that got me really worried.
You like it?
Joshua Bryant, only 5 years old, when about a month ago was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, a cancer found in children with treatment lasting over a year.
All I can have is God on my side, and that's our side, not just mine, but our side, but it's going to be 18 months.
As you can imagine, the news shocked parents Mike and Megan Bryant, and not quite the holiday season they expected. They decided to reach out to the community for help.
We're trying to make it, and not easy with Dad being the only one working and trying to balance all that. So, but, it's led us to right now.
Do it again. Turn the siren on.
The Shop with the Cop program has been a popular program for years. Usually kids go to the store with the officer and pick out what they want. But this year, law enforcement goes to them, bringing gifts chosen from a wish list.
But this was kind of neat, too, to do it as a big total surprise where and of course they don't, when they're shopping with you, they know what they're going to get for Christmas. This way, they'll be surprised on Christmas morning.
Sergeant Greg Walker with the Murfreesboro Police Department knows something about that one word. He, too, had cancer.
It was kind of neat because Amy sent me all the information about who I would be shopping for, and saw that it was a little boy that had cancer, and of course that hit home with me.
Merry Christmas!
The similarities don't stop there. Joshua's dream is to become a police officer one day.
When I called Mom to arrange to come out, I told her I had this similar story. I wanted to be a police officer since I was 4 or 5 years old, too.
Touching not only the life of little Joshua, but the whole family means the world to Sergeant Walker, fighting back emotions as he talks about it.
And it makes you feel good to be able to come and do something like this, especially, it kind of breaks my heart for him. But
While this news was a shock to the Bryant family, they have faith they will make it through.
It's going to be a good Christmas for them, and especially Josh, because I want him to be happy. I just love to see him smiling again.
Come on up here, Jacob.
Even though little Joshua's already been through a lot, he's also been very strong.
They said he's tough. They said, that he's taking the treatments like a champion. I know what that does to your body, Think about it. Is it pretty cool?
The family tells us doctors are hopeful for Joshua and that they are taking things one day at a time. Sergeant Walker says we can all learn a thing or two from this brave little boy.
To see him so kind of just laid back, like, yeah, this is what I got to do, is just, man, it ought to give a lot of people hope, seeing somebody like that going through it at such a young age have such a good attitude.
Right after the meeting with Joshua, Sergeant Walker had an important follow-up with his doctor and was informed he continues to be cancer-free. Sergeant Walker's reaction was, "God is great." We also look forward to following little Joshua on his journey. Made possible by a federal grant, one local golfer's dream comes true after being unable to golf for over 20 years.
Sometimes change can start with one email, and that's exactly what happened when a local citizen that because of a spinal condition couldn't play the game that she loves.
I grew up in the Napa Valley, St. Helena, California, and there was a country club there that had just been built, and we joined. Played a lot, won the little trophies, growing up. Continued to play as much as I could until I became disabled.
Karen suffers from a spinal condition where her spinal cord is very narrow. In year 2000, she had a ruptured disc that crushed her spinal canal that partially paralyzed her.
I'm walking disabled. I have, balance issues. Doctors know why. They said I should be paraplegic, but for some reason it works. The grace of God and stubbornness, I guess. And I was sitting there watching a golf tournament one day, and I'm like, White, there's got to be a way I can play golf.
She researched and found a product called Solo Rider. She emailed area golf courses to ask if they offered this product.
Unfortunately, our answer at that time was no. Unfortunately, we do not have something like this available for you.
Then I got a hold of Trey, who introduced me to Angela and made this all happen.
Angela Jackson contacted the city's grant writer and applied for a grant from the Tennessee Disability Coalition and was able to purchase the specialized golf cart.
We had kind of been working for a while on getting it ordered, and it took a little while in production. It's not something that's mass produced.
Hitting my first ball today was like my first Christmas ever. I wanted to cry. It was just it was pure. It was wonderful. It was joy. And I actually hit it. I hit it and it got in the air.
With the opening of the Miracle Field in 2017, the city of Murfreesboro started this journey to help increase opportunities for the special needs community.
Our special needs community doesn't end in childhood. We have to make sure that we keep things going throughout adulthood. We won't only have sports. Eventually, we'll be able to get out into our creative arts individuals and be able to have activities for them as well. Because not everybody likes to play ball.
I think golf is always kind of perceived as a sport where not everybody maybe has access to it, so if we can make golf a more well-received sport for the masses, I think it's going to be great for the game in general.
I mean, to be able to get out here on the golf course and have some fun and just be inclusive, and I know that Bradley would take me out in a game of golf. So
Bradley is one of the athletes that competes in the Miracle League, but also is an avid golf player. He talks about how this cart can make the game of golf more inclusive.
I think it'll open up more opportunities for the people in the general area of Middle Tennessee. I know that there's a golf course in the state and as well as in the Middle Tennessee area that they have this one golf course and they could reserve it in the future.
It's designed for them to be able to have their golf clubs on the front of the cart. They can drive to their golf ball wherever it's at. They can swing the seat around to the side, grab a golf club, buckles in, lifts them up.
I really think this is life-changing for me, and I think it could be for a lot of people. Get out and play. You can do it. Really, if I can do it, you can do it, because I cannot stand, I cannot walk far, and I'm sitting here hitting golf balls and getting them in the air. So do it. Come out and play.
The city's Deputy Transportation Director explains how his office is constantly adjusting the timing of traffic signals to help traffic run as smooth as possible.
We all deal with traffic in Murfreesboro and try to map out our trip to get to our destination the quickest. The City of Murfreesboro Traffic Department's job is to coordinate traffic signals to do just that. But it is an ongoing job.
The City of Murfreesboro has about 155 traffic signals. Out of the 155 of them, about 100 or so are interconnected. That means what I mean by interconnected is they are connected and talking to each other, literally communicating with the signals upstream and downstream along a corridor. So there are many intricacies of signal timing. Just to give you an example, Cason Lane and Old Parkway. That intersection, I get a lot of phone calls that there's not adequate green time and that people are having to stop. But that intersection has 14 movements, 14 separate movements, including, double lefts and rights and through traffic.
With a city this size and with the amount of traffic signals, the department relies on others to address trouble spots.
The general public also plays a critical part. They are our eyes in the field. City employees also play a critical part. City police also helps us tremendously because they are on the road all the time and they see trouble spots and they alert us. When we get a call saying that there's not adequate time for a left turn, you will have to look at the time of the day that the problem is happening, number one. Number two, when you make any adjustments at one intersection, the upstream and downstream signals will also have to be taken into consideration because you're pushing traffic from an intersection prior to this intersection. So there is a domino effect. I cannot make up green time from the air. It has to come from somebody. Where do I have an opportunity to steal some time to give that particular movement? Because it is going to be at the expense of others. But can it be done? Absolutely. And we do that constantly. We have computer programs and software packages that actually help us identify these kinds of problems. A lot of the troubleshooting can be done from the Traffic Operations Center here at the City Hall. We have cameras placed strategically along the major corridors where these traffic signals are, so we can, bring one of those camera views to the site, and we can observe what's happening during those peak times. We can make the changes from the Traffic Operations Center. However, if there is a malfunction at the intersection, say an equipment failed or there is a power problem, then the traffic signal technician has to go to the intersection to rectify the problem. In the last 6 months to a year, we have lengthened left turn lanes so they get the arrow. So we always look in where there are spillovers to do that. Another complaint that we get very constantly is speeding. And we are constantly working diligently with the police department to bring speeding under control. We also look at other treatments, make sure that the line of sight is adequate, make sure that the roadway, if there is any inadequate potholes or anything like that, to make sure that those problems are fixed.
A pilot program is scheduled in February to help slow speeding cars down in one Murfreesboro subdivision. The Murfreesboro City Council adopted a traffic calming program a couple of years ago to address speeding in neighborhoods. Neighborhoods have to apply and meet qualifications for the city to study the area. Alexander Boulevard qualified and met these requirements.
So council decided that they wanted to do a pilot program and test out speed bumps in some of these areas. And so since Alexander had already made application and qualified, we decided to use them as our pilot program. Alexander is a long straight road and people use it as a cut through. Because it's a long straight road, you can go faster on it, you can build up speed. So the idea is when you narrow the roads, it makes people go slower. So that was one of the things that we had looked at, and that's we tend to use the bike lanes and the on-street parking. We do have roundabouts. You can't put a roundabout in an existing road like that, though. So several areas have roundabouts on those long straight streets, and that is a traffic calming technique.
The city decided in this pilot program to go with speed cushions, not speed bumps, to slow down traffic.
We're getting the speed cushions ordered, and it's going to be 6 sets. So each set consists of 3 pieces. They're going to be every 500 feet. So there'll be 6 sets of them between Tennessee and DeJarnette. So there's 1 in each lane and then 1 in the middle. And that's so the emergency vehicles, the fire trucks, can straddle them. So the emergency vehicles will not be slowed down by these. And that was one of the reasons that we never wanted to do speed bumps in the past. And also these speed cushions only slow cars down to about 15 to 20. So they're not like the speed bumps that are in a parking lot that'll slow you down to 2 to 5 miles an hour. So we're going to put them in place in February timeframe, and then we're going to do a study for 6 months. And then late summer, we'll see how the residents react to them. We're sending out letters to all the residents that live on Alexander, and is going to provide an email address for them to send their comments to. And we encourage the residents to give us their feedback. We want to know what they think of them so that we can decide if this is something that we want to continue with or if speed cushions just aren't the direction we want to go.
The Speed Cushion pilot program on Alexander Boulevard will cost the city about $40,000. The city will compare the traffic studies, which include the number of cars and speed, taken before and after the speed cushions to see if they had any impact. The City Schools Foundation distributes over $38,000 in grants to city school teachers. Adapting to constant change is the new normal for teachers and students. So when the City Schools Foundation awarded over $38,000 in grants to city school teachers, it couldn't have come at a better time.
The grant dollars actually fund programs or manipulatives that are not funded through tax dollars.
The grants are submitted anonymously, usually a cumbersome process. The foundation makes it easy for teachers to apply and to get funds for special projects.
So much of our funding is tied up in things that we have to get and that are some of those necessities, that there's not always a lot of funds for those kind of pet projects teachers may want to do new and exciting things with their students.
Whether classes are in person or virtual, the supplies from these grants will still be an important part of the curriculum.
Teachers were really writing grants for things that they know would benefit kids. So a lot of it is more individualized, like our math manipulatives, that they would all have their own set.
This year, the foundation also provided $50,000 in addition to the grants for 170 Chromebooks for teachers, students, and the classroom.
When we began the year, obviously it's a very different school year for us. We realized that we just did not have enough computers for the need that we were seeing. That's the reason the City Schools Foundation stepped up and kind of went outside their box, because typically funding computers is not in their agenda.
The 2021 City Schools Foundation's major fundraiser has been moved to May, and they hope it will continue to be a success in raising money for Murfreesboro City Schools.
But we still want to celebrate, and of course if we're going to give these grants, we have to raise the funds.
With 2020 being such a difficult year for so many, one thing Murfreesboro City Schools educators is grateful.
Our teachers want to say to the City Schools Foundation is thank you. Thank you for pouring back into teachers and therefore pouring back into our kids so that they get the benefit of what you're doing for our schools.
With the ongoing Patterson Park After School series, we find out what you can do to improve your basketball dribbling skills.
My name is Cortez, and I was wondering if you can help me with my basketball skills.
Cortez, I got a few drills you can do. Our first drill is going to dribble down with our right, dribble back with our right, and we've got to make sure we keep our head up and our eyes focused. Did you see how I kept the ball away from the defenders so they won't steal it? All right, we're gonna dribble down, head up, right hand around the chairs, back with the right hand. Got it? Go. Go. As you can see, we have 5 chairs out here. You can use anything. You can use a rock. You can use a stick. All we're doing is going to go in and out the chairs, back in and out the chairs with our head up and our eyes focused. This drill is a little tricky. You're going to go in and out the chairs, switching from right hand to left hand. Go. Go. We've done 2 drills. Our first drill was to dribble down, our head up, eyes focused. Our second drill was to dribble down in and out the chairs. Those 2 drills will keep your dribbling skills sharp.
Most of our top viewed stories in 2020 dealt in some way to the COVID-19 pandemic. Here are our top 5 viewed stories in 2020. Number 5, mask for MPD. Sergeant Amy Denton of Murfreesboro Police Department knew her officers needed face masks. She saw people on social media making them at home, but were having trouble finding fabric. That's when she got an idea.
The thought hit that we have surplus uniforms that were basically waiting for disposal. So we went through and basically salvaged the fabric from those.
Number 4, MFRD assists in relief. It was news no one wanted to wake up to Tuesday morning that a deadly tornado had ripped through Middle Tennessee. At around 3:30 in the morning, Wilson County Fire and Rescue requested assistance from MFRD. They first responded to Lebanon and then later to Mount Juliet with Rescue 1 and a structural collapse trailer from Station 1. Number 3, St. Thomas Rutherford Parking Lot Vigil. As the nation adapts to a new normal amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, folks in Murfreesboro find a way to come together. The parking lot of St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital was filled with music, cheers, and a few tears as healthcare workers are thanked for their service during this crisis. Number 2, holiday cheer during COVID-19 crisis. Bill and Pat Casey always love decorating for the holidays, and while the COVID-19 crisis is by no means a holiday, they hope these colorful lights will brighten someone's day.
A lot of folks in Murfreesboro may not know our names, but they know the house.
Bill Stieber and Pat Casey daily get literally thousands of visitors at their home for Halloween and Christmas. And the number 1 most viewed story from 2020 is a touching tribute to a wonderful man and educator, Dr. Gene Lloyd. And by reading some of the comments, it's easy to see why this story is at the top of our list. Congratulations, Dr. Lloyd is hands down the most compassionate and hands-on principal. He truly cared for the school and all the kids. Congratulations, Dr. Lloyd. My son had the best experience at Northfield and was a senior this year. You were an amazing principal. Best wishes to you. One of Murfreesboro City Schools' longest tenured administrators retires after 39 years as an educator. Dr. Gene Lloyd says he got a feeling one day and one thing led to another to bring him to Murfreesboro from East Tennessee.
It was like one day God told me to stop and pray, and for some reason I did, and the next thing I knew, within the hour, I was getting a phone call from some kinfolk down here that says, "There's a school opening and I think you should apply for it."
Well, that's it for this edition of In the City. As always, for more information about the city of Murfreesboro or any of the stories you've seen here, you can always visit our website at www.murfreesborotn.gov. And if you want to see any of the stories that you've seen today or catch up on some of the latest city news, you can always visit the City of Murfreesboro's YouTube channel. I'm Michael Linn White, and from all of us here at City TV, we want to wish everyone a happy new year. And until next time, we look forward to seeing you in the city.